online all the time.
Welcome back. A nursing home is supposed to be a safe place for the most vulnerable, the elderly, too sick and frail to care for themselves.
But in this exclusive look at what happens when a nurse, instead of taking care of a patient, causes incredible harm, CBS 2's Christine Johnson shows us a case of nursing home horror, and it's all caught on tape.
Caught on tape. Watch what happens when a nurse in the upper right side of your screen approaches an elderly woman in a wheelchair. It is exclusive video obtained by CBS 2 and landed nurse Jessie Joyner in court.
Ms. Joyner, do you have any comment you want to make?
Joyner hid from our cameras after a court appearance earlier this week. But the Attorney General says everything you need to know about the criminal charges Joyner faces is on the video, recorded by a camera placed to protect patients and staff by the William Benenson Rehabilitation Pavilion in Queens. It happened on March 20th, just after 9 p.m. That's Joyner pushing a medication cart. Suddenly, she abandons the cart and heads to the patient in the wheelchair. Joyner appears to jerk the chair sharply to the left, and the woman, who is 85 years old and suffers from dementia, goes flying to the ground. It's a fall that breaks her hip.
And whoops, wow.
We showed the video to Dan Moles, who is a registered nurse, licensed nursing home administrator, and expert witness in cases relating to nursing home standards of care.
I was startled by the speed with which she grabbed the chair and spun the chair, and obviously to see someone flop out of the chair like that directly onto the floor.
And that, he says, could be negligence. Another expert, the director of a statewide advocacy group for people in nursing homes, goes even further.
It's criminal. It's criminal. It's awful. It's horrible. And why wasn't the person even strapped into the wheelchair?
Both experts say they are stunned at what happens next.
And then she just walked right past the resident's still on the floor.
That's right. Nurse Joyner walks right by the patient, who is now flailing on the ground with a broken hip. She does this not once, but twice, and then leaves the area.
She must have been terrified and in pain.
But Joyner's attorney, who says he hasn't seen the tape, tells a different story. He says that the patient herself caused her own fall.
My client basically saw a patient that was in her care on her floor that was going towards leaning to get something, we're not sure what, from a medical cart, and went over to assist, and before she was able to assist, unfortunately, the patient fell.
Here's what happened next. The woman lies alone on the floor for more than 2 minutes before another employee arrives on the scene. It appears he will help her, but with the patient still writhing on the floor for over a minute, he does nothing.
He didn't even do anything. I don't understand that.
Finally, he appears to speak to her. It's now been more than 3 minutes since the patient fell. Joyner returns to the area and finally calls for help. A third staff member arrives and they all approach the patient. Ultimately, it took more than 4 minutes for someone to help her.
Nobody feels worse than Miss Joyner about what happened, that somebody under her care got injured, but in no way does that lead to a finding that she actually caused that injury.
According to the Attorney General's complaint, Joyner admitted knocking the woman out of the wheelchair and not helping her. The complaint also alleges that she didn't report the incident until another staff member noticed the patient and later lied about it to the nursing home staff. But her attorney insists that is not true, that Joyner did not abandon the patient, that she did help. In a statement, a spokesperson for the nursing home said, quote, "We remain vigilant in protecting our patients at all times. This was an isolated incident, and the newly employed nurse depicted in the report was immediately reported to the authorities. Our video system, which is in place throughout our center, assists us in providing our patients the best treatment and care available."
And that was Christine Johnson reporting. Among the charges against Joyner are endangering the welfare of a vulnerable elderly person and willful violation of health laws. She's pleaded not guilty. According to the state health department, the nursing home is in compliance with all state regulations.